Every fruit explained in 15 minutes. Apple. The apple native to North America is the crabapple, a fruit so astringent it causes immediate jaw cramps. John Chapman, commonly sanitized as Johnny Appleseed, did not distribute sweet-eating apples. He planted vast orchards across the American frontier in the early 19th century specifically for hard cider production. Settlers needed reliable alcohol, and Chapman secured land rights by establishing these orchards. The modern sweet apple is entirely dependent on grafting, a technique known since at least ancient Mesopotamia. If an apple seed is planted in the ground, the resulting tree will produce genetically distinct, usually inedible fruit. The transition of the apple from a cheap frontier intoxicant to a children's lunchbox staple required prohibition. In the 1920s, the agricultural industry pivoted from cider to fresh fruit, marketing the old varieties as healthy snacks. Commercial orchards rebranded survival alcohol as medicine. Cavendish banana. The Cavendish banana dominates global trade not because of its flavor profile, but because it survived. Until the 1950s, the world exported the Gros Michel, a sweeter and more resilient variety. Panama disease functionally eradicated it. The United Fruit Company, a corporation that orchestrated the 1954 Guatemalan coup d'etat to protect its agricultural monopolies, rapidly pivoted to the inferior but immune Cavendish variety. Because all commercial bananas are sterile clones propagated from offshoots, they possess zero genetic diversity. A new strain of Panama disease, Tropical Race 4, is currently destroying Cavendish plantations across Asia and Latin America. The artificial banana flavoring found in cheap candy mimics the extinct Gros Michel, which is why it tastes nothing like the fruit currently sold in supermarkets. The flavor is a ghost. Pineapple. In 18th century Britain, a single pineapple cost the equivalent of $8,000. The fruit required elaborate hothouses and constant coal fires to survive the English climate. It became the ultimate symbol of aristocratic excess. Nobility who could not afford to buy a pineapple outright would rent one by the hour to display at dinner parties, returning it untouched the next morning. Etymology reflects European confusion. Spanish explorers thought the texture resembled a pine cone, and English writers appended the word apple, their generic term for any foreign fruit. The democratization of the pineapple occurred in 1911, when James Dole installed an automated peeling and coring machine at his Hawaiian cannery. This machine processed 100 pineapples a minute, collapsing the luxury market overnight. Renting fruit became an absurdity. Tomato. Botanically, the tomato is a berry, but legally, it operates as a vegetable. This distinction was cemented in 1893 by the United States Supreme Court in Nix v. Hedden. The Nix family, wholesale grocers in Manhattan, sued the port collector to recover duties paid on West Indian tomatoes under an 1883 tariff. The court ruled unanimously that culinary function dictates legal status. Italy and Mexico both claim cultural ownership of the modern tomato, though the botanical ancestor originated strictly in the Andes. The fruit was initially feared by aristocratic Europeans in the 1500s. Wealthy citizens ate off pewter plates, and the fruit's high acidity leached lead from the metal, causing fatal poisoning. Peasants ate off wooden trenchers and suffered no such chemical reaction. The poor survived. Vanilla. Vanilla is the pod-like fruit of a climbing orchid native to Mexico. For 3 centuries, Mexico maintained a strict global monopoly because the plant could only be pollinated by the local Melipona bee. This ended in 1841 when Edmond Albius, a 12-year-old enslaved boy on the French island of Réunion, discovered how to hand-pollinate the flowers using a thin sliver of bamboo. His technique is still used today for every natural vanilla bean grown worldwide. Albius died in poverty. Because hand pollination is staggeringly labor-intensive, true vanilla is the second most expensive spice on Earth. Exactly 99% of all vanilla flavoring consumed globally is synthetic, manufactured primarily from petrochemicals and the lignin found in paper mill waste. Most people only taste wood pulp. Strawberry. The strawberry is a botanical imposter. It is an aggregate accessory fruit, meaning the fleshy red part is derived from the receptacle that holds the ovaries, rather than the ovaries themselves. The true fruits are the dry, seed-like specks on the exterior. The modern garden strawberry did not exist until the 18th century. In 1714, a French spy named Homme de François Frisier was sent to South America to monitor Spanish ports. He returned to France with a stolen Chilean strawberry plant, which produced unusually large fruit. When this specimen was accidentally planted near a North American wild strawberry in Brittany, the two cross-pollinated. This chance hybridization created the commercial strawberry eaten today. Espionage accidentally engineered a global agricultural staple. Frisier preferred drawing maps. Watermelon. Watermelons were initially cultivated as a form of natural water storage. Hieroglyphics from ancient Egypt, dating back to 2000 BC, depict watermelons being placed in tombs to hydrate pharaohs in the afterlife. The early fruit was bitter, pale, and small, bearing little resemblance to the heavily engineered modern crop. The most significant alteration to the watermelon occurred in 1939. Japanese geneticist Hitoshi Kihara successfully developed a seedless variety by crossing a standard diploid plant with a chemically induced tetraploid plant. The resulting triploid offspring was sterile, unable to produce hard seeds. Seedless watermelons are essentially mules of the plant kingdom. Despite common consumer anxiety, swallowing a watermelon seed does not cause internal sprouting. It simply passes through the digestive tract. The myth relies on biological illiteracy. Avocado. The avocado has undergone a calculated public relations overhaul. The Aztec word for the fruit was ahuacatiel, which translates directly to testicle, a reference to its shape and tendency to grow in pairs. When early 20th century farmers attempted to commercialize the fruit in the United States, they sold it under the unappealing name alligator pear. Sales stagnated. In 1915, a consortium of California growers gathered to officially rebrand the crop as the avocado, an anglicized bastardization of the Spanish aguacate. The strategy worked. Once considered a cheap, high-fat peasant food in Central America, marketing campaigns aggressively positioned it as an upscale, aristocratic delicacy in the American suburbs. The fruit went from a botanical anatomical joke to a marker of bourgeois wealth. Marketing alters reality. Peach and nectarine. The peach and the nectarine are the exact same species. There is no botanical difference between the two trees. The smooth skin of a nectarine is the result of a single recessive gene mutation that suppresses the development of trichomes, the microscopic epidermal hairs that create peach fuzz. If a peach tree is cross-pollinated, it can randomly produce a branch bearing nectarines, and vice versa. Charles Darwin documented this erratic biological behavior in his 1868 writings on variation. The fuzz serves an evolutionary purpose, acting as a natural defense mechanism against small insects and excessive moisture. Nectarines, lacking this armor, rot much faster and fall victim to brown rot at significantly higher rates. Humans prefer smooth skin, so farmers cultivate the weaker fruit. Aesthetics override survival. Grapefruit. The grapefruit was never discovered in the wild. It is an accidental hybrid of a sweet orange and a pomelo, first documented in Barbados in 1750. The fruit is chemically hostile to human medicine. It contains high levels of furanocoumarins, organic compounds that permanently disable the CYP3A4 enzyme in the human intestinal tract. This enzyme is responsible for metabolizing many common prescription drugs, including statins and psychiatric medications. Consuming grapefruit juice allows these drugs to enter the bloodstream at toxic, unregulated concentrations. In the 1950s, scientists subjected grapefruit seeds to intense radiation using cobalt-60 to induce random genetic mutations. This reckless era of atomic gardening produced the star ruby variety, which features a deep red color and fewer seeds. Botanists irradiated a hazard to make it prettier. Star fruit. Carambola contains a potent neurotoxin called caramboxin. Native to Southeast Asia, Portuguese traders transported the plant to colonial Brazil and West Africa in the late 16th century. It functioned primarily as an ornamental curio for wealthy estate owners, largely because its cross-section forms a symmetrical five-pointed star. Class status was signaled by visual geometry rather than nutritional value. In modern Ayurvedic medicine, the fruit is frequently prescribed to cure hangovers. It does not cure hangovers. It simply provides hydration and ascorbic acid. For the general population, the fruit is a harmless, mildly tart garnish. However, for individuals with chronic kidney disease, the organ cannot filter out the caramboxin. Consuming even a small amount induces uncontrollable hiccups, intractable seizures, and rapid death. It looks very nice in a cocktail. Mangosteen. The mangosteen is functionally illegal to import fresh into the United States without aggressive irradiation. Because the fruit spoils within days of harvest, it was historically restricted entirely to the ruling classes of Indonesia and Malaysia. In 1893, David Fairchild, an agricultural explorer for the USTA, documented the crop in Java and unsuccessfully attempted to establish it in the Caribbean. A pervasive myth claims Queen Victoria offered a knighthood in 1890 to anyone who could transport a fresh, unspoiled mangosteen to England. There is no historical record of this royal bounty, though agricultural marketing boards continue to repeat it. The edible white flesh is encased in a thick, dark purple rind packed with xanthones. This rind permanently stains human skin, clothing, and upholstery. Luxury hotels across Southeast Asia routinely ban guests from opening the fruit indoors. The penalty is a steep cleaning fee. Ackee is the national fruit of Jamaica, but it originated in the forests of West Africa. Captain William Bligh transported the plant to the Caribbean in 1793 aboard the Ms. Providence. British colonial authorities required a cheap, high-calorie food source to sustain enslaved laborers working on vast sugar plantations. Forced upon captive populations out of economic brutalism, it is now a high-priced export commodity, often cooked with salted cod. Haiti and Jamaica both claim the definitive culinary application of the fruit. Jamaica exports it in aluminum cans. The unripened fruit contains hypoglycin A, a powerful toxin that causes severe vomiting and fatal drops in blood sugar. It must split open naturally on the tree branch before human consumption is safe. Eating an unripe ackee effectively shuts down the liver. Timing is critical. Miracle berry. The miracle berry chemically alters human taste receptors for approximately 60 minutes. In 1725, French cartographer Chevalier de Marchais documented West African tribes consuming the small red fruit before eating sour palm wine and stale rations. It contains miraculin, a glycoprotein that temporarily binds to the taste buds, causing acidic foods to register as exceptionally sweet. In the 1970s, the Miralin Company attempted to commercialize miraculin as a mass-market, calorie-free sugar substitute in the United States. The American sugar lobby aggressively pressured the Food and Drug Administration to classify the fruit extract as an untested, unsafe food additive. This regulatory maneuver effectively destroyed the enterprise by 1974. The fruit is now an overpriced novelty item, consumed by affluent urbanites at flavor-tripping parties. A lemon tastes exactly like candy. Vinegar tastes like apple juice. It does not protect tooth enamel from the acid. Snake fruit. Salak is covered in overlapping reddish-brown scales that precisely mimic the skin of a reptile. Native to Java and Sumatra, it was historically a staple of the Indonesian working class, gathered directly from fiercely spiny palm trees that grow in dense, impassable swamps. The inner flesh resembles whole cloves of garlic but tastes of fermented apple. The fruit contains unusually high levels of tannins, the exact same astringent compounds used industrially to cure animal leather. Local folklore claims eating excessive amounts of salak causes severe paralyzing constipation. This medical assessment is entirely accurate, and the fruit was actively utilized as an anti-diarrheal during 19th century cholera outbreaks. Peeling the fruit requires a specific pinching technique at the tip to break the rigid skin. Failing to use this technique results in lacerated fingers. The fruit draws blood.